It's your boy Heaven Hollywood for the IE Network, and this is the Heaven Hollywood Report. And let's get into it. Tory Lanez said that a lot of people in the industry turned their back on him with the whole Megan Thee Stallion incident, and they believed Megan and didn't believe him. But then, and he sounds kind of surprised. Well, Tory, I'm going to tell you why people believed Megan and why people stopped messing with you. Okay? Um, you have to remember something, Tory. We're living in the Me Too movement, the Protect Women movement, you're looking over the last 5 years how so many women have been abused by Harvey Weinstein and, abused by different actors and producers or what have you, and how black women have not been protected, not just in society or in the industry, but also when it comes to law enforcement. All right? Now, this whole incident happens, and the number one thing that people were so quick to believe Megan is because she came out with her story first. You know, we are living in the days where whoever's story gets out there first, that's the story people tend to believe. Okay? And people just found it hard to believe that, number one, and number two, you had a reputation. There's been times, sometimes that were not even reported, but times that I know about behind closed doors that you were accused of harassment, assault on men and women, allegedly. But I know of some times that didn't even get out, that women had issues with you, on record and off record. Okay, now, when she comes out, you remember she is the hottest rap at this time, had just blown up, and she's coming out and she's, making the statement that you shot her. Number one, before she even said anything, one of her producers or one of the people in her camp said, pretty much accused you. So remember, that's the first story that we're hearing. Now, when her and her girlfriend or ex-friend was still on decent terms, or so the ex-friend thought, Kelsey, she said, I didn't shoot Megan. I wasn't the one with the gun. The one with the gun was Tory Lanez. That's from everything that everyone else knows. You got arrested for possession of the firearm. So the Kelsey girl said, I didn't shoot her. I wasn't the one with the gun. Basically saying Tory was the one with the gun. But you see, then after they fell out, her story changed. And another reason, Tory, a main reason why people turned on you, other than the females, is that we can talk all we want about how Megan's story don't add up and how Megan don't look like she's lying and how that didn't look like bullet holes and how it didn't look like... Maybe her story didn't add up, but guess what, Tory? She had a story. And you refused to say anything. If you had came out from the beginning Before there was even a charge. Okay? Before there was even a charge. You can't tell me it was legal then because you didn't even have a charge yet. The gun charge. That didn't come out after she named you as the shooter. The moment people said something, you waited on social media and said nothing, and just wanted it to play out, or whatever the case may be, but you were saying and pretty much trying to pour your heart out to Megan on the records. So for you to say you didn't want to say anything because of legal issue, but you were saying something on the records. So it was okay to put that on the records to sell music, but it wasn't okay for you to say anything off the record. You basically said on the records that Jay-Z and Rock Nation pretty much lying and setting you up, that Megan is in on it, and that she was jealous of you flirting with Kylie Jenner. You said all of these things, Tory, on record. So when you come about and you say, oh, I don't want to say anything, you don't want to tell your whole story because, of legal issues. No, I believe you don't want to tell your whole story because you don't want to say something that you will later on have to take back or later on have to defend once everybody starts picking your story apart. Did Tory Lanez shoot Megan Thee Stallion? I don't know. But one thing I do know, and one thing that we do know, something happened to Megan's foot. Her foot wasn't like that. And don't give me that, oh, she shot herself. That's the most ridiculous analogy I've ever heard. For people to say that, people that just don't like Megan, and they want to find a reason, oh, she was so drunk, she shot herself. They would have came out and said that. You can't get in trouble by saying, hey, she shot herself. I didn't shoot her. You can't get in trouble for saying that. And don't tell me that you can. So for people saying, oh, she shot herself, I mean, stop it. You're going to tell me somebody's that drunk that they can shoot themselves in the foot and then say it was Tory Lanez or somebody else shot them? I mean, you guys got to stop with this. Something happened to Megan's foot, and Tory Lanez was there, and he knows what happened to Megan's foot. And for you saying people is turning their back on you, and but they called you later and said, that doesn't justify it. To me, that should make you even feel even worse. But it seems like you want to accept something to, but they called me later on and said they still messing me, but they just can't show it in public. Well, then they're fake. I wouldn't, take that as defense or justification. Oh, they really do still mess with me, but they can't say it in public. Then they don't really mess with you. The reason why myself and other bloggers, YouTubers, reporters said we're done with this story is because, and stop paying that Kelsey girl attention. As you see, she disappeared like a fart in thin air. When people started catering to her capping, and when they start saying, listen, B, you gonna say something today about what happened? What happened? Oh, you ain't got nothing to say? Okay, forget it. Don't pay it no mind. That's the same thing that people feel about you now, Tory. You did the record with Chris Brown, it flopped. You did the record with the baby, it flopped. And when I say flop, meaning, sure, it did good on the black charts, on the R&B charts, on the rap charts. But other than that, it didn't do anything. You didn't really sell big units. All right? So people don't want to hear from you unless you're telling what happened. Now, that's not me. I could care less. But this is the things that I hear. People have pretty much said, forget Tory Lanez. But as far as we're concerned, he shot Megan Thee Stallion until proven otherwise. You were not telling people, you're not giving people anything. You're not saying, okay, I'm sorry for what happened to your foot. I'm sorry for you getting shot in your foot. You won't even say what the argument was about. So if you're trying to keep everything quiet and trying to not let anyone hear, then people are going to say, to hell with you. We don't have time for this. And here you are still talking about it. You're still talking about it. Megan Thee Stallion hasn't said anything about it in months. And you're still talking about it. So if Tory, if you want people to care, and like I said, I'm not saying this man shot Megan Thee Stallion. Maybe he didn't. But you know what? He knows what happened to her. And he should say something. Don't give me all that about, oh, he can't say anything for legal reasons. That is malarkey. Because Megan would have the same stigmas on her. And she said from day one that you shot her. If those stigmas were so true, you wouldn't have been able to say anything on the record either. You wanted to paint the narrative that Megan was jealous of you and Kylie Jenner. You wanted to paint that angry black woman narrative that she was jealous of the white girl. You know what you were doing. All in all, begging her on the record to pretty much to come back. Oh, but I got a crush on Kylie. What am I supposed to do? Hey, stop it, Tory. Again, I'm not saying Tory shot Meg Thee Stallion. That's not for me to make that decision. But he knows what happened to her. That's obvious. And until you're going to come out and say, at least fill in the blanks, what the argument was about, did it happen in front and outside of Kylie Jenner's house? Was that really your security guard? Or you didn't say any of that. Was that really your security guard on that audio? Are you and Chelsea, you and Kelsey still friends? Are you and Kylie still friends? What does that have to do with the case? If you are not sharing any insight to that, Tory, people aren't going to care. Your music was not that popping before this incident. And how, yes, this incident has helped Meg Thee Stallion, but this incident has also helped you notoriety-wise. It may not have helped you in the eyes of the public, but that video that you dropped, for a while it had more views than Megan's video. They dropped around the same time. So Tory, just for you to understand why people aren't really messing with you, they are some, and why they have to do it in private, is because they're not so sure you didn't shoot her. Because you're not saying anything. And that's the tea. That's the issue. That's why so many people in the industry are still reluctant not to mess with you. Because they're just not sure if you really didn't do it. It's your boy Heaven Hollywood on IE Network. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And share this video with your friends.